Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are back looking at Guild Wars 2. Obviously I did a reaction to a Guild Wars 2 video last week, and that was kind of like a really off the cuff thing I just decided to do. As I said before, that video just ended up in my recommended, so I thought, why not? And that video did great, and I got a lot of positive comments and great feedback, so thank you if you watched that video. Yeah, so that video got a lot of great comments and a lot of people telling me about Guild Wars 2, which is great. But also, in that video, I think the top comment was from a person called Warrian, so thank you for commenting, who recommended we watch this video. So, that's what we're doing now. So thank you for that. So this video is called Why Play Guild Wars 2 and 21/22, explaining the appeal and comparing to other games by Mukluk YouTube. I've heard of Mukluk before. And obviously all of Mukluk's information will be in the description of the video below. So make sure you go follow his stuff and like and subscribe to the channel, of course, like I have, and support him. But having said that, before we get into watching the reaction and seeing the appeal to Guild Wars 2, please do like this video and subscribe to this channel, because we cover MMOs, we cover RPGs, JRPGs, all of this stuff, and we'll definitely have some Guild Wars 2 stuff coming from myself very soon. But anyway, let us get into the video in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everyone, Mukluk Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire the Fourth here, and I'm going to explain
That's a hell of a name.
as concisely as I can the charm and appeal of Guild Wars 2.
Sorry to pause it, just to say that I'm pausing it to tell you I'm going to try not to pause it too much, but yeah, I'll try not to.
In 2021, and make comparisons to other games when possible. I frequently get visitors to the stream that ask questions like, I'm looking for a new MMO to play, I'm a bit bored with...
We've all been there. Trust me, we've all been there. I've been there several times.
Here are the things I think Guild Wars 2 does best.
Okay.
Combat. The combat is one of the most fluid combat systems I've seen in 20 years of playing MMOs. No mana bars or holding still to cast spells, except for a few powerful abilities. This is unlike Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, where you have to stand still to cast a great...
So, sorry to pause. I have started playing, actually, and I've recorded a bit, so I'll obviously bring an impressions video out as and when. But that is true. Like, I'm very early. I think I'm like level 11 or something, so that's not much, but it is very unique, the combat, and it is, especially with the weapons switching and the fact you can kind of change your abilities and things like that. Very versatile, and I've enjoyed it a lot so far. So, but obviously I'm sure it'll develop as the game goes.
Many of your skills. In Guild Wars 2, your first 5 buttons are associated with your class and the weapon in your hand. The 6th key is your choice of a self-healing mechanic. 7, 8, and 9 are utility choices, and the 10th key is an ultimate. Because
that's cool, get an ultimate
associated with your weapon, when you swap weapons, the 1 through 5 change. Weapon swapping has a short cooldown in combat, but no cooldown outside of combat. Another thing I found appealing about this system is that most skills do not require a target. When I played previous MMOs, many of my abilities could not be used unless I had a target. But here, if my target were a thief, for example, and they went invisible, I could keep swinging it where I thought they were, and I could possibly hit them or even kill them. Dodge roll.
That's interesting.
Every class has an endurance bar. By default, it holds 2 charges of a dodge roll. This is similar to dodges in Dark Souls, in that for the moment you are dodging, you are evading all incoming attacks. This allows you to completely avoid very powerful hits in PvE or PvP once you know what to watch out for.
I'm not trying to say that it's not. What am I trying to say? So, obviously, that's very cool that you can use those last-minute moves. It obviously depends on how, I don't know, responsive the game is. To be fair, as from what I've seen, it looks really responsive. I'm only coming on this from, because obviously, prior to this, I've been playing a lot of FF14, and that is a game where you have to, if you leave at the last second, that's too late. Because I don't know, because of the way the game is, or the tick rate, or whatever it is, I'm not really sure. I don't know anything about that. But if you move out the last minute out of like an AoE on the floor, it will still probably hit you. So as long as it's super quick and responsive, then that's really cool. And I'm sure it probably is.
I love this system. It is easy to pick up, but hard to master. Baiting out an enemy's dodges, then going in for the finish in PvP.
That looks really
or
fun.
Using your dodges to recover from hairy moments in PvE. Downstate. When your hit points hit 0, you go into downstate. As long as you didn't hit 0 from falling, then you go straight to dead. Downstate is similar to the fight for your life mode in the Borderlands series.
Yeah.
In downstate, you still have access to a few skills based on your class, but you are bleeding out. If you assist with getting a kill, bandage yourself, or an ally revives you, you pop back up. If your hit points hit 0 in downstate, think of it like a second hit point bar, or if someone executes you, which is a few seconds of channeling while standing over you, then you're dead.
That's cool, man.
The mounts in this game are unique.
Now this is where the bread and butter is.
None of
them
them
most.
trivializes the others. To use WoW as an example, getting an epic ground mount allows you double speed, but none of the controls or movements.
Oh, look at that one. That one's cool.
Once you get an epic flying mount, you never use your ground mount again, unless you're forced to. Some exceptions.
They look really nice.
Like the vendor mounts. In Guild Wars 2, there are 8 mounts that each have a unique purpose. Here's the rapid fire information. Raptor. Capable of long horizontal jumps,
I've got one of these.
Can leap over canyons. You can use his tail spin while dismounting to damage foes in an area and pull them together.
That's cool.
Springer. Capable of large vertical leaps.
Whoa,
Can carry you up cliffs and out of ravines. Can use cannonball while dismounting to damage and knock down foes. Skimmer. A hovering mount, used for traveling over water, sulfur,
really cool.
Quicksand, acid,
Sulfur,
etc.
What zone do we go to?
Underwater mount as well.
Wow, that's
Use
really
barrel
cool.
roll when
That looks really nice.
Damage enemies and heal your allies you pass through. The Jackal. The Jackal is a sand elemental in the shape of a dog. He can teleport short distances, allowing you to traverse past certain obstacles.
Nice.
And can pounce to
Cool
damage, blind, and cripple enemies, and put up shields. Think like bonus hit points on your allies. Roller Beetle. Think of it like a pod racer. In a big open area, it just keeps getting faster. It's difficult to turn
so cool.
until
I
you get
really
some
like
practice
that.
at drifting. Can use his attack to break through certain walls in the game. Griffin.
What?
A gliding mount that is easy to learn, or a flying mount that is hard to master. Good for leaping off of high places and traveling extremely
I love the
far
physics on the
distances.
body.
Can swoop to dive bomb onto enemies, or pull up after
They're all
swoop to
different. They're all really
sacrifice
different.
elevation for speed. Warclaw. The primary mount in World vs. World. At first, it's a standard mount, but you can train it to do much more. Later on, it can fire lances to dismount enemy-mounted players, can attach chains to enemy gates to rip them off their hinges, and its pounce does extra damage to downed players. Lastly, the Sky Scale, the only true fully 3D maneuverable
that looks
mount.
amazing.
If the Griffin was a jet, the Sky Scale is a helicopter.
You gotta love dragons, eh?
However, it does have a stamina bar, and it cannot fly forever without reprieve. If it gets tired, you can land or cling to a wall to allow it a second to refill stamina before continuing. It can blast an area with fire during the dismount to set enemies aflame when you engage. Any class...
I wonder what dragon-based MMO expansion coming out soon took heavy inspiration from this right here. I wonder what. Oh, that is.
Before continuing, it can blast an area.
That is just dragon riding. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about WoW's new expansion, Dragon Blight, where it looks like they've essentially just ripped this off.
It can blast an area with fire during the dismount to set enemies aflame when you.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I guess.
Engage. Any class can be tanky or a glass cannon,
I like
or
that.
anywhere in between.
I
When
like
Guild Wars 2 first
a lot.
released, it did not have the holy trinity of tank, DPS, and healer. There are some builds closer to that now, but a warrior isn't necessarily tanky, and a mage is not necessarily fragile. You can make gear with nearly any stat combinations you want. If you went for full offensive stats as any class, you would be a bit of a glass cannon. An example would be the ever-popular power, crit chance, and crit damage gear. But that same person could also build toughness, vitality, and power for heaps of armor, hit points, and base damage, but they lost the crit chance that the first example had. It is so refreshing to see an enemy, and even if you know their class, you are not immediately certain what
You
you
just
are
don't
doing.
know what they have. That's so cool, because that's one of the annoying things where everybody has the same gear and the same builds, and you've got to do the same thing. Like anything that kind of pulls away from just going on a website and finding out what you need to do and put slot where here and there and where which is just boring, kind of defeats the object of it being, your character, I guess. That's cool. I like that a lot.
They could be playing the meta build you see most often, or they could be doing something unique you aren't prepared for. And I don't just mean in PvP. I have seen elementalists tank raids. I've seen warriors heal with shout builds. Imagine someone screaming
shout builds
and get over it at you repeatedly, but it actually works. World versus World. World versus World is an insanely fun game mode that pits you in PvP versus other servers.
Massive,
Imagine
unbelievable.
three-way combat between 3 servers on a grand scale. Battles like 50 versus 50 versus 50 or more.
Jesus, does that run well?
Walls, keeps, steal supplies, hire mercenaries, and you get rewards every few
Hire
minutes
mercenaries?
as you are actively playing. If you are a WoW player, think the original Alterac Valley, but more than 10 times the size.
Bloody hell, man. Oh, look, it's an advert.
Curiosity drives us forward.
What is it for?
Conquest. Conquest is the battleground or rated PvP of Guild Wars 2.
Nice.
There are many Conquest maps, but they are all played 5 versus 5, with 3 objectives to capture and a 4th objective that is unique to each map. First team to 500 points wins. One of the huge appeals of this game mode is you can access it at level 2. You can reach that in a few minutes of playing. And when you enter Conquest, you are considered max level with all talents and gear unlocked. Want to PvP on a Necromancer, but you don't want to level one? You don't have to. This game mode is comparable to WoW's Battlegrounds.
Oh, okay, I see.
You can get end-game loot in many different ways.
So it's essentially like if you want to... You're like, oh, I really want to try PvPing as this class that I don't have. You could just go make one and go into the game mode and you're there. So you don't even have to level up. That's really cool. That's... I don't think any other game does that. That's really cool.
In most MMOs I played, this was the only way to get endgame loot. In Guild Wars 2, it is simply an option.
That is insane.
Fractals are like fast-paced 5-man dungeons with different buffs and debuffs in play every day. There are 100 tiers of difficulty, and depending on the modifiers, they can be very easy or very difficult. Conquest,
that's cool.
The 5 versus 5 PvP mode. It gives currency when you play it, and you can spend these tokens to buy the gear you want. World versus World. When you're lucky, you can just get endgame gear for free from one of these reward boxes, or you can spend World v World currency to get the gear you need. Strike missions. 10-man PvE content, easier than raids, and friendlier for pugs. Good for polishing your skills while you're learning to raid, but does have access to endgame gear. Achievements. Some achievements and collections reward top-tier gear as well. And lastly...
I love that. I love that. I love achievement hunting and collecting and things like that, and the fact that there's rewards for doing that. In terms of gear that you can use, that's a dream. I don't know why. It's always you got to do the hardest content, but like if you're collecting or getting achievements or something like that, that takes a lot of time as well. Like I don't know why that's not a prominent or encouraged game mode, or not game mode, an encouraged like aspect of the game for other MMOs. So I love that.
Crafting it. I love this system. I came from other games where the raiders were the only ones with access to top-tier gear. And they would dominate in PvP simply because they were unkillable raid bosses. That is a non-issue here. The gem store system. Guild Wars 2 has a gem store where you can buy some cosmetics or quality of life items. Like many games with similar stores, you can trade real-world currency for gems. But you can also trade in-game gold for gems. Got your eye on something but don't want to spend real money on it? That's fine. You don't have to. It is not pay to win.
That's great. The fact that, again, that's very, very consumer friendly. Like, no other game does that. Where you can say, I mean, I guess the games kind of do it with like the RuneScape token and the WoW token. But that's it. You can't buy the cosmetic things from those stores with real gold. For the fact that Guild Wars 2 allows that is really cool.
You will never lose a fight because the other guy decided to spend more money on the game. Community. The community in Guild Wars 2 is, for the most part, a very positive group of people.
Good.
And I think that all stems from the way the game works. Here's a couple of examples. In most MMOs, if you come across another player who was dead, it wouldn't benefit you in any way to dismount, spend time rezzing them, and then move on. In Guild Wars 2, you actually gain experience for rezzing people.
Well, that's
sometimes worth killing half a dozen mobs or more.
Wow, really?
XP. This results in people constantly helping each other up if they see someone go down, even if they are only doing it for themselves.
That's cool. Well, who cares?
In vanilla World of Warcraft, if I saw another player fighting a rare spawn, the most profitable thing I could possibly do would be to try and sabotage the player, get them to die somehow, and then tag the mob myself so I get the loot. Guild Wars 2 has a shared loot system where anyone who hits a mob gets a copy of the loot. This results in people fighting a tough mob and others frequently joining in if they are passing by. It helps both parties. Exploration. Guild Wars 2 very much encourages exploration. When you tell, completely, you get a large chest of rewards. When you finish the world map, you get components used for crafting legendary weapons. Legendary equipment is not required in the game. It has the same stats as Ascended gear. That's the best in slot stuff mentioned earlier. But it is very flashy. It changes your spell effects.
Well, that changes everything.
It can be changed to different stats at any time. If you had a full set of legendary gear, you could change it to healing gear, damage gear, tank gear, etc. without having to carry multiple sets. Each item takes quite a bit of time to make, weeks or more if you're trying to do it without going bankrupt. So there is always content to work on. Nearly all equipment can be traded between your characters. So if you are an alcoholic or decided to swap mains, your old efforts are not wasted.
Could someone send that to Blizzard? Please, someone.
The world is constantly in motion. There are world bosses that spawn every few minutes. Outdoor events constantly going on. Different event chains based on success or failure of the event before it. There's an event timer webpage that shows what world boss is up at any given time for ease of use if you want to simply join a group doing world bosses non-stop. The entire core game, hundreds of hours of gameplay, is completely free, and you could download it using the link in the video description. It contains 8 of the 9 classes, as well as 5 of the 7 specializations. Think like talent trees for each of them. The remaining class and specializations are included in the expansions, Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire. As of the time of this video's release, Heart of Thorns became free with purchase of Path of Fire. I'll have a referral link for that page as well if you're interested, both of which are sponsored by ArenaNet. My recommendation is if I have sparked your interest, download the free core game and try it out. Also at the time of recording this,
it's free.
Guild Wars 2's 3rd expansion, End of Dragons, is currently in development, and we've been told the game will also be
out now,
on Steam in the future.
That's just literally just happened.
I am on Twitch every night.
Last week.
I'd love to answer them, or you can drop them in the comments down below. I could go on for hours on the things I love about this game, but these are the points I believe held the most appeal for me as a longtime MMO player, so these are what I focused on. If you enjoyed this content, please consider hitting the like button to help us out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to see more similar content. I hope you enjoy your time in Tyria, and happy adventuring.
Very, very, very nice. Great video. Obviously, as I said before, please do go to this video. The link will be below, and like if you haven't seen it already, like and subscribe. That is fascinating, and there's a lot of stuff in there that obviously I didn't know. Let me go back to the stuff that I like the most. Let me think. I mean, that's cool. I mean, the stuff to do with like actually encouraging people to help each other out because everything is very much shared, and you know, you get experience for helping out other players and reviving them. I love stuff like that, and I love that like a game encourages that. Yeah, I think it makes a world of difference. I mean, I'm sure we've all had, you know, bad experiences in, I mean, you know, yeah, I guess negative experiences in other online games and anything to kind of get people to just be on the same side. Because I suppose as all players of the same game, we are on the same side, if you know what I mean. So anything to encourage that is great. That's cool. Yes, as I said, having a store is always controversial in MMOs, but I suppose this is just a buy-to-play MMO without a monthly subscription, so that's fine. But also being able just to save up your gold and then to buy all the cosmetic stuff that way is something that I wished every game did. It would make stores like this a lot more palatable. But obviously, it's all cosmetic stuff. It's not paid to win. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. But you know, yeah, it's just part of the industry now, I suppose. And all of this variety in the end game. So when you went through the end game loot and all the things that you could do, and that's one thing that I like to hear. And because everybody is very different in what they want to do and what they like, and that is one thing that, you know, a game that facilitates every different types of players. So you've got the raid, excuse me. So you've got the raiders, you've got the PvPers. The strike missions is really cool. That's obviously like there's similar things you do in Destiny. What else was there? The quick dungeons with the differing is kind of like. I mean, I didn't really play Mythic Plus, to be honest, but it kind of reminds me of Mythic Plus in WoW. Being able to cater to every player, I think, is great. And to be fair, like, as I've mentioned a few times, coming from FF14, I think FF14 did a really good job of that. So, of having just content for anyone, and I think this game, obviously, it looks like it does too. So that is good. It means, like, obviously, when you're up taking on the journey of leveling up a character, you know that at the end there's something for you at the end, which is important. It's really important. It's why a lot of MMOs like Wild Star and the Old Republic just didn't kick on as much. I mean, obviously Wild Star died, and the Old Republic didn't live up to its potential, in my opinion, because of the lack of endgame. So that's great. Conquest, that was cool, and the Wild Wolves world, I mean, I knew of this stuff, so that's great, and obviously being able to just make a new character and jump straight to PvP is really, really cool. Yes, and the character builds also reminds me a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, where you have unique builds, and that I really liked about Elder Scrolls Online, because no one was the same. So, I mean, obviously in the meta, you will find the same build, because there always will be, but as long as there's enough, you know, more casual content around, then there'll always be more, you know, diversity in the builds. And the mounts look really cool. All of them look really unique, and it's nice to see work and being put into making the mounts diverse in terms of what they can do, and not just being a visual, like, I don't know, a cosmetic kind of way to show off, I suppose. Which I to be honest, I haven't got a problem with that. I like, you know, getting mounts to show off. We all do. But the fact that they have alternate uses, and you're not just using the same mount all the time, really like that too. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, it was really informative. So, yeah, great video. Obviously, other videos in regards to Guild Wars 2 or other things you want me to look at, let me know, and I will certainly do that. I'm more than happy to. But yes, as I said, I think at the start of the video, I have started playing now. Obviously, I'm very early in the game, and I'm taking my time. Of course, I want to just kind of experience it and enjoy it for what it is. And I'm enjoying it so far, I have to say. I made a, what are they called, Necromancer, because you can make it into like a melee Reaper build. I saw, I was like, that is a bit of me. That's a bit of me. So that was that. So yes, so I've got nothing really more to add. So please do go and support Mukluk and like and subscribe to him. Also, yeah, let me know if you want me to watch something else. I will do. Obviously, I'm working on leveling up in Guild Wars 2 now, and impressions and videos will come as I go through the game. So please do make sure you subscribe for that, and I will start streaming this game on Twitch very soon. So my link for that is in the description. I've also got a Twitter as well. So if you want updates on when those streams will be, probably best to follow me there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.